In this video, we're going to talk about area and perimeter of different shapes. And this really should take you back to middle school and even before, in bringing back some of these different formulas that you've used in your past. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the perimeter or circumference of these different shapes. So the first shape that we're going to look at is a square. We know that all the sides are the same for the square. So the perimeter is just adding up all the sides, the outside of the figure, just adding up the sides of the square. So the perimeter equals add all the sides. And then for the rectangle, it's going to be the same. The perimeter is going to be add the sides. All right, for the parallelogram, same thing. It's going to be add all the sides. The triangle, 3 sides, but still you're just going to add them up to find the perimeter. Then the trapezoid, okay, once again, all right, now for the circle, we call this the circumference. All right, that's the distance around the circle. All right, distance around the circle, circumference. So the circumference equals 2 pi r. Or another way of stating that is pi times diameter. We know that 2 times the radius is the diameter. Now, just one key point here when we're talking about or using circumference or area of a circle is that when you're using your calculator, make sure you use the pi button or the pi key. Please do not type in 3.14. That could be the cause of you getting a problem wrong. All right, let's go back to area. The area of a square is the length times the width. Or the area is base times height. Now, what is area though? And I should have really started there, but the area is the number of squares or square units that you can fit inside the figure. So if I want to lay carpet down in my house or in a room, I want to know the area of the room. Very important. Okay, now another formula for area, since the sides are all the same, is side squared. Now, the area of a rectangle, okay, is going to be length times width, or base times height. But there's something really important. That height, the height has to be perpendicular to the base. So we could use this line here. All right, so the height perpendicular to the base. All right, parallelogram. All right, the area equals base times height. Again, height is perpendicular to the base. It is not the slant height line. All right, that's where a lot of people get confused. It is not this line. That is a slant height. Okay, moving down the triangle. Well, the triangle is going to be, if you took a square, you drew the diagonal, you get 2 triangles. So that's half of the size. So the area equals 1/2 base times height, or the area equals base times height divided by 2. Just remember that that height again is perpendicular to the base. For our trapezoid, I'm going to change this A to a B, or B1, and then I'm going to make this B2. And the reason is because the area formula for a trapezoid equals B1 plus B2 times H divided by 2. And then last, our circle. The area of a circle equals pi r squared. Okay, just remember that, please, a lot of mistakes the students make is that they take the radius, they times it by 2, and then times it by pi. You have to square the radius first, then times it by pi. All right, it's squaring, it's not timesing by 2. Big difference between that. All right. So our first problem says find the area of the trapezoid graph below. So it's on the coordinate plane. So that really helps us out in terms of finding our base and our height, so on and so forth. But our first thing the first thing we should do is let's write down our formula. So we have a trapezoid, so the area equals B1 plus B2 times H divided by 2. Well, if I go over to my figure, if I call this B1, I can count across. And I will see that's 3. And then my B2, I can call it B2. I can count across, and that's going to be 7. Now I need my height. Well, my height's going to be perpendicular to the base. And if I count that line segment, that's going to be 3. So I have B1 equals 3. I have B2 equals 7. And then I have my height equals 3. I can now plug that in my formula and get my area for that trapezoid. So let's do that. So my area equals 3 plus 7 times 3 divided by 2. So I get 10 times 3 divided by 2. Okay, and I'm going to get, that's 30 divided by 2, which is 15. Now it's area, so it's going to be units squared. All right, now, there are other ways of finding the area for this trapezoid on the coordinate plane. Obviously, you can count the number of squares that are there. You can break this up into different pieces, meaning that you have a triangle here, and then you can draw another line. You have another triangle, so you have 2 triangles. You can find the area of the 2 triangles, and the area of this here, this side, this rectangle, and you can add up all the pieces. Example 2 says, what happens when your figure is none of the shapes we have area formulas for? So it says find the area of this shape that's on our coordinate plane. So this is going to be another method. So what we're going to do is we're going to enclose the shape and subtract off the areas that we don't need. So let's write that down. So I'll call this method 2. Enclose the shape So you're going to enclose the shape and subtract. Subtract off areas. So let's enclose the shape. So once I enclose the shape, which I did, and I'm touching every vertex with my enclosed figure, all right, I get a quadrilateral. And I know that the area of a quadrilateral equals the length times the width. All right, so what I can do is I can come up with the different measurements for each side. So on this side, okay, if I measure that, that's going to be 13. And then if I measure the top side, pretty good, that's going to be 14. Okay, so I know that the area equals 13 times 14. So that's 182 units squared, or square units. All right, now I have, what else do I have there? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. So if I get the area of those 4 triangles and subtract from my 182, which I wrote 184, which is a mistake, I'm sorry. Should be 182. And I'll go units squared. All right, if I subtract the area of those 4 triangles, then I'll get the area of that figure. All right, so that's 1. Number 2, area of the triangle. Okay, let's go for number 1. If I count, okay, so if I have this triangle here, if I count perpendicular to the base, I get 9, and that's going to be 4. So the area of triangle 1 is going to be, and I know the formula is base times height divided by 2. Well, that's going to equal 4 times 9 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 18. Okay, if I go for the next one, area of triangle, and I'll put 2 here. All right, if I count across, that's going to be 10. And if I count down, that's going to be 6. So now I'm going to get the area equals 10 times 6 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 30. I keep going. I'm going to get area of triangle number 3. Okay, so if I count down, it's going to be 7. And then that's going to be 6. So the area equals 7 times 6 divided by 2. And that's going to give me 21. And then the last one, triangle 4. Okay, that's going to be 8. Counting across, 8. And then counting up is going to be 4. So that's going to be 8 times 4 divided by 2, which equals 16. So the area of my figure equals 182 minus 18 plus 30 plus 21 plus 16. Okay, or the area equals 182 minus 85. Or the area equals 97 units squared. All right. So what I want you to do, all right, this one's a little long again. I want you to write some key ideas down, all right? And I want you to go through and check your understanding, and then we will have discussions about it tomorrow. Remember, go Cats, go Knights.